Okay, Dr. Mindy here. We are trying something different. We had a little technical difficulties coming to you guys today, so hopefully you are hearing me loud and clear. Okay, I want to bring to you guys, talk a little bit about a study that came out this week. So I'm going to reiterate, I started this live about 5 minutes ago, but then somehow we got disconnected, so I'm going to reiterate what I said. There was a study that came out from UC San Francisco saying that intermittent fasting was not effective for losing weight. And it was a sensational headline that went across many of the mainstream news pages. And so I quickly grabbed it and I was like, what are they saying? How could they be saying this? Like, we have hundreds of thousands of people that are losing weight. What did they do in the study that they saw didn't allow people to lose weight with intermittent fasting? And so what I did is it was 116 people that they studied. And I went to the study, I broke it down, and tomorrow there is a video coming out here on my channel where I explain what we learned from this study and what we didn't learn, what the study didn't do. So make sure that you watch that tomorrow, because my goal again with this channel is to get you guys to think for yourself. So one of my major pet peeves with big sensational headlines like this is that all of a sudden you guys start to, and we've all fallen prey to this, where we will lose faith in something that's very effective for our health. If you stop and you think about it, oh my God, how many diets have we been like, this is the miracle diet, and then a year later, a sensational headline comes out and says, no, there's problems with this diet. This happened last year with the keto diet around women. And so I kept coming to you guys and saying, yes, women need to do keto different, women need to fast different, and I've done a ton of videos on that. But the sensational headline says women shouldn't do keto, it's harmful to their hormones. That's not the whole truth. So when I saw this sensational headline in this study that said intermittent fasting will not help you lose weight, I quickly went and deconstructed this study and this article and was like, wait, tell me more, because this is not what we're seeing in our community. So that video is coming out tomorrow, and my big piece of advice to you guys is when you see a sensational headline like that, don't immediately get sucked into the emotion of the headline. There is right now, there are many reasons that the food industry, big pharma, a lot of corporations with a lot of money don't want you to fast. So just be prepared that we're going to see more headlines like this. And I don't want you guys to lose momentum with your fasting lifestyle, because so many people getting off medications, losing weight, overcoming chronic conditions just from fasting alone. So, and then the the New England Journal of Medicine last year came out and said 1,500 peer-reviewed journals they looked at on intermittent fasting, and they're saying that doctors should be using it as their first line of treatment for a lot of different conditions. So I hope on tomorrow's video that you guys will see clearly how to think through some of these sensational headlines as they come, because this was the one this week. They will keep coming. I have never been more clear that fasting is the most amazing tool for weight loss, for inflammation, for tapping into an accelerated healing process, for autoimmunity, for hormones. Like, fasting is incredible. But it's not the complete story, and this is what I'm trying to help you guys do, is see a bigger picture. So let me know tomorrow that will premiere on my channel at 6:30, and I want to bring it to your attention in case you've already seen the headlines. Second thing, and then I'll open it up for questions, is if you guys are new to my Thursday lives or you're new to my channel, on Thursday morning we will post on our community page when I will go live. It's usually around this time. And if you have a question for me, put it in the comment section in the community page, and I will make sure that I answer it. And that's where I'm going to go first here today to answer questions from. So, so that's for these Q&As, that's the best place to get your question answered. Now, if your question is really, really specific, like you give a long list of something that's going on with your health, on this platform, I don't have any interchange with you. So I'm going to take the teaching part of your question out of there and make sure that everybody is learning from it. This channel is not for giving medical advice. It's for helping you understand how to solve your own health problems. So a lot of times I'll answer a question with a question to get you kind of thinking through what you need to do. So with that, I will open it up, Sequoia, for questions from the community.
Yeah, we didn't have any questions in the community section today.
Okay.
But we have questions in the chat.
Okay, great.
So,
great.
So let's see. The first one, we got people all over the world. It's great to know where people are from.
Yeah, we love knowing where you guys are from. So just put in the
Israel, India.
Awesome.
All parts of the United States.
Awesome. Love it.
Let's see. This is from Liliana.
Okay.
Liliana does OMAD and takes some supplements. Do you have any recommendations on what time to take them? Should I start with any in particular and finish with one in particular? Depends on what they're taking.
So when to take your supplements when you're
fasting.
doing 1 meal a day is what I heard. So when you do 1 meal a day, it's really personal preference. The only time that you'll hear me say don't take your supplements is when you go into these longer water fasts. Because when you're doing like a 3-day water fast, what you're trying to do is tap into your own intelligence and really accelerate the healing process. And I feel like when you put supplements into the picture, you're manipulating that healing process a bit. Well, with 1 meal a day, you can take them whenever you want. Now, for me personally, I've struggled to take some supplements on an empty stomach, especially B vitamins. They make me a little nauseous. So if you're taking your supplements on an empty stomach in your fasting window, you got a little stomach pain or a little nausea, then I would say that's not working for you and you're going to need to take them in your eating window. On the flip side of that, a lot of times we see with people in our clinic where they take certain supplements and they're energized and they're doing 1 meal a day and that's dinner, and now they've got, they're up and they can't fall asleep. So if your supplements don't make you nauseous, take them when you're fasting. If they do, then I would take them when you eat your meal. With the only exception of that is if they energize you, then you might have to, like I had to train myself to take them in a fasted state. It just took some repetition to do that. So.
Okay, and this is Nilish Patel wants to know, what should your fasting insulin be? Do you want to talk about the guidelines of numbers?
Your fasting insulin, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say them in American numbers. I need to start to commit to memory the rest of the world's variation, so I apologize for that. But I will say them in American numbers. So 70 to 90 is what is a good range for blood glucose in general. When you're fasting, depends on how long the fast, there is a very good chance you're going to go below 70. You're fine in the 60s, you're even fine in the 50s. But if you start to get into lower than 50, you need to break the fast. The only exception to that is that you need to, is if you're being coached by somebody or you have a doctor overseeing you. Now, sometimes in a fasted state, your blood sugar goes up. And this also could be a good sign because it means that your body's going after stored sugar. And as your blood sugar goes down because it's not getting an influx of food, as that goes down, it triggers the liver to release sugar from that it's been storing and get it out of the liver, which makes your liver ultimately function so much better. So if you are noticing in a fasted state that your blood sugar is going up, that's a sign of stored sugar. If you're noticing that your blood sugar is going down too quickly, we see this happen also, that's a sign your mitochondria aren't healthy. So we like in a fasted state, I don't want you below 50. 70 to
2.8.
70 to 90 is great. 50 is 2.8.
2.8.
Okay.
70 to 90 is 3.9 to 5.0.
Okay, 3.9 to 5.0 in every other part of the world other than America, and 2.84 is your like max, where you don't want to go beyond lower than that. So, so hopefully that didn't confuse you. But we get the blood sugar is what we get that question all the time. People freak out if it goes too low too quickly, and people freak out if they're fasting and it goes high. Both of those are great indicators of something that needs to be done in your body. If it goes too high, love on your liver. If it goes too low, you got to do more intermittent living, and we're going to be talking about this more. You need to work on putting some pressure on those mitochondria so that they can heal a little bit more efficiently. So.
Great. And we have a question from a member of our academy.
Okay.
Eltradine Foster is just curious, like how often they should be doing 3 to 5 day water fasts.
Okay, 3 to 5 day water fast. My general rule for that is twice a year for just general maintenance and just good health. Except if you have a chronic condition you're trying to work on. So like when I've personally coached some people going through cancer, we actually have had people doing a 3-day water fast every week. I've had some people doing it once a quarter, but for the majority of us, it is twice a year. Otherwise, if you want to do them more frequently and you have a chronic condition, you really should be coached. So.
Okay. Sorry, my screen jumped. Let's see. Frank wants to know about doing prolonged fasting. He's a diabetic.
Prolonged fasting,
And
Frank.
so
Okay.
He's diabetic and he's trying to get his A1C down.
Okay.
Do you have advice?
I don't know what prolonged is. So let me give my fasting limits just so everybody can learn. And he's a diabetic. I don't know if you're type 1 or type 2, Frank. First thing, all diabetics should have somebody watching them as they go into these longer fasts. So I wouldn't be doing a prolonged fast if you're not getting coached by somebody. To me, a prolonged fast is anything over 3 days. I think the majority of people can do a 3 to 5 day water fast very safely if they're watching their blood sugar numbers. If you're a diabetic, I would encourage you again to have a doctor or a coach, somebody overseeing you. Anything longer than 5 days is for sure, like we've seen miracles. We've seen some people go 21 days. I've seen people go 90 days and do incredible. But those people aren't just doing it on their own. They are being overseen by somebody. So there's great anecdotal research, and there's great testimonials on these longer fasts. But anything over 5 days for anybody, you should be watched, because you want to not only look at your blood sugar numbers, but sometimes we've seen this in the resetters. I've seen it with some of my patients. We get too close to the situation and we can't quite make smart decisions. I'll give you an example. And if she was on this live, she would tell you the same. I have a patient who she and her cousin decided to go into a competition to see who could fast the longest. I do not recommend this. And I told her, I do not recommend that you do that. Fasting is a personal experience. So she was 14 days into a fast. Her numbers were really low. She was very dizzy. And I was like, break the fast, stop this competition. But she was in the competition. She kept going. And one day she got her blood sugar and blood pressure went so low, she stood up, got dizzy, fell over, and ended up getting a mild concussion, which we then took us months to unwind. So that's what you don't want to do. You never want to start out on a prolonged fast and say, I'm going 14 days, and then not look at your numbers, not look at your energy. Like if you're day 10 and you're super lethargic and your blood sugar is in the 50s and you feel like your limbs are super heavy, you got to break the fast. If you are in a prolonged fast and you stand up and you're like really dizzy, you gotta break the fast. So please be smart about it. But those are typically the lengths that I look at. So.
Okay. Same sort of question, and it's about dry fasting.
Okay.
Does a dry fast really equal 3 times a regular water
Does a
fast?
yeah, this is a great question. Does a dry fast equal 3 times the amount of a water fast? Okay, well, let me start off by saying I would love it to. So when I first heard this statistic a couple years ago, I researched it, and I could find no science saying that. So I think it's an urban fasting myth. Now, having said that, you guys have seen what the studies I've shown, that 12, 14-hour dry fast turns all these great genes on and all these bad genes off. Awesome, we love that. So there are other benefits of dry fasting that can be achieved a little quicker, that we may not see it in water fast. But it's just because it hasn't been studied. So I haven't seen a lot of long-term studies on genetics and 3-day water fast. The studies have been done on stem cells and the immune system. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing is, what we notice in our community is that you do seem to get into a deeper ketosis with dry fasting. And I would say I've experienced that myself when I dry fast. Tend to get into these states of ketosis very, very quick. So I am a fan of the 12 to 24 hour dry fast. There has been, if you're a healthy individual, there's great research showing that, and you may notice you go into a deeper ketosis. But as far as getting the benefits of a 3-day water fast, I have not seen the research on it. So, sorry.
Okay. And this is from a woman in Ohio who's 51.
Okay.
And she's doing alternate day fasting, but she's concerned about her hormones. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, so she's doing alternate day fasting, and she's concerned about her hormones. So the general rule with your hormones, I don't know if you're premenopausal, in the middle of menopause, or postmenopausal, but the general rule is that is totally fine, with the exception of the week before your cycle. So if your cycle comes on day, or if you have a 28-day cycle, day 21, you don't want to do any long fasting. So my assumption with an alternate day fasting is you're going one whole day without food. So that wouldn't be great the week before your cycle, before you actually start your period. If you're a postmenopausal woman, that alternate day fasting should be fine, with the exception of, on the days you eat, I would encourage you to eat foods that will support your hormones. So foods like the beans, the squashes, the grass-fed meats, if you eat meat, the potatoes, tropical fruits, citrus fruits. So make sure you eat some foods that build up progesterone. I also would encourage you to eat some foods that build up estrogen. Those foods tend to be more ketogenic. They're more the seeds, the nuts, the seed oils. So those most people are probably doing already, but I would lean into those foods. And I'm in the middle of a 4-part series. I did an overview of fasting and hormones this Tuesday. Next week, I'm coming out with a video on fasting and estrogen. And I'll, in that video, talk about foods that will feed estrogen. And then I'm doing one on fasting and progesterone and one on fasting and testosterone. So in all 3 of those videos, you will see the fasts I recommend, what I say to not do if you know you're low in those hormones, and then the foods you can eat. So hopefully that will be helpful to you.
And I don't know anything about this, but this is from Andy in South Africa.
Okay.
And they received a pretty bad 2nd-degree burn. And they're wondering if you've heard of fasting helping with the healing time.
Yeah, Andy in South Africa, 2nd-degree burn, fasting. I haven't seen any research, but what I know about fasting is it's a healing state. It accelerates the healing process. So for sure, it'll speed your healing up. We do this all the time in my clinic with people going into surgery. We will have them fast as close to the surgery as they can, go have the surgery, and then we have them fast afterwards. We do it with people who clean up the toxins in their mouth, get teeth pulled, mercury taken out. Same thing. We use fasting as a tool to speed up the healing. So the same thing I would say around a burn. I would also encourage you, if you have access to collagen powder, I would look at getting some collagen powder. I'm pretty sure Revelation Health will send to South Africa. You can go to revelationhealth.com and get the collagen powder, the systemic formula collagen powder on there, that would help. The other thing is if you can get a Juve light, which is a red light therapy, that also speeds up the healing of burns. So those are 2 other little suggestions that could help. Yeah, little biohacks that you can use. So.
Here's somebody that maybe is a little, maybe some clarification. They're doing OMAD, but they heard you're not supposed to break your fast with a big meal. Do you want to talk about
good.
The OMAD versus
okay,
fast?
So let's talk about OMAD just in general, because I feel like there's a lot of myths going around about OMAD. So OMAD stands for 1 meal a day. So a lot of you guys do that. We love that. It's so time efficient, keeps your weight down, you get all those ketones. There's a lot of reasons to do 1 meal a day. The challenge that we get with 1 meal a day is when that's all you're doing. Every day you're just eating dinner. There's no variation to your fast. So a lot of people will get stuck with 1 meal a day. So that's the first thing that I'll say. As far as breaking your fast with 1 meal a day, honestly, the only time that I am picky about how someone breaks their fast is if they're trying to stay in autophagy. Then we encourage people to keep their protein under 20 grams and to eat fat to break their fast. That is called an autophagy fast. Or if they've done a 3-day water fast, then there's a 4-part series that I really recommend for people, 4 steps to breaking a fast. So if you're doing 1 meal a day, I wouldn't worry about what you break your fast with, especially if you're doing it as a lifestyle. You don't need to worry so much about it. It's the longer fast, or if you want to stay in autophagy, that you need to be more careful with what's the first thing that goes in your mouth. Now, I would tell you to play around with it. I have found that sometimes I don't like to break my fast with meat, just sometimes. And then sometimes, we have a lot of probiotic drinks and yogurts in our house. I love to break my fast with those, something light. I don't like to always jump right into a meal. It's really up to you. Some people like to break their fast with fruit. Some people like to do steamed vegetables. It's really personal preference. You won't hurt your microbiome. You're not going to undo your fasting results with that 1 meal a day. It's only in the 3-day water fast that you can really get yourself in trouble. So
a lot of people with different questions about what breaks a fast: collagen, vitamins, ginger juice. Just talk about self-testing and the numbers.
So what breaks a fast? Sequoia is saying we have a lot of questions on that. Whatever raises your blood sugar breaks a fast. So typically medications, supplements, waters, the unsweetened waters, those are typically not going to break your fast. For some of you, fat's not going to break your fast either. So that could be awesome, and that's why we use it as a tool in autophagy fasting. Otherwise, things like coffee, tea, MCT oil, these are questions we get. What else ginger juice, green juice. You got to test it because we're all individual. Remember that we have bacteria in our gut that control our blood sugar. So when we put all the foods I just mentioned into the gut, your gut microbiome may love it and bring your blood sugar down, and mine might hate it and my blood sugar may go up. So you got to test it. So the test looks like this. Take a blood sugar reading, eat the food that you have a question about. Half an hour later, take another blood sugar reading. If a half an hour later, your blood sugar, that second reading is higher than the first one, then it took you out of a fasted state. Now, some experts in the ketogenic and fasting world say, as long as it doesn't go higher than 10 points, you're still in a fasted state. I would like to see you very, very, very close to that original number. 1 or 2 points would be great. 10 points is a little bit, tells me you're going out of a fasted state. And then the other thing I want to really point out is all of these studies that I bring you guys, they were very, very pure with their fasted state. So when I say genes were turned on and off with 14 hours worth of dry fasting, they didn't there weren't a lot of variables in that. So if you're wanting to stick as true to the studies as possible, then the less teas and coffees and ginger juices you do, the more authentic it will be to that original study.
Okay, we do have somebody who's in the reset that we're doing right now. Kimberly, you should come on the call at noon.
Okay.
Maybe tell her she has some questions about how she's feeling. Kimberly Barrett.
Okay, Kimberly Sequoia is telling me that you're in our fat burner reset, and we're about to get on a call here in a few minutes. So why don't you bring your questions over there, and we can answer them on Zoom. So make sure I get them. Just put it in the chat. I have a long list of questions over there, so I feel like your question was on that list, so I'll go find.
And we have another woman who's been doing keto and intermittent fasting, and their period stopped.
Yes.
You want to talk?
Okay, so if you're doing keto and intermittent fasting and your period stopped, you are not varying it according to your cycle. So the general rule is day 1 that you start bleeding to day 21, you can do lots of keto, lots of fasting. That's the sort of the big general rule. Day 21, that week before your cycle, your body needs to make progesterone. And in order to make progesterone, it needs the foods I talked about. It needs higher glycemic foods. It needs you to step out of ketosis. So you're okay doing intermittent fasting, but if you are trying to keep yourself in ketosis, then eventually your period, your cycle will go off. We see this all the time. And I see the reverse as people start to apply just what I said. We're on day 21. They try not to be in keto anymore. They try not to be in a fasted state, or they try not to do a long fast. Their period comes back. Now, if you are doing that and it's still, your cycle is still off, this actually applies to all of you guys. Fasting is a healing process. So we come to it for weight loss many times, or we come to it to bring inflammation down or to bring our energy up. But what you are also getting is an accelerated healing process. Ketones will go up into the brain and they will start to detoxify the brain. That detoxification of the brain may look like hair loss. That might look like brain fog. That might look like your hormones going off. If your hormones go off, there could be an underlying toxic issue that is now your body is trying to resolve. So first step to detoxing is look at your toxic load. Look at your lotions are you putting toxic beauty products on? Look at your cleaning materials. Are you trying to eat organic as much as possible? Make sure there's not an influx of toxins. That's the first thing to look at. If you've done that, you're working on your cycle, eating for your cycle. You are making sure that your toxic load is low. You're varying your fast, and you're still having problems. That's when you need a deeper detox. So, and that's what our toxin reset is for. So.
Okay. Well, we have to wrap up. We
Okay.
gotta get you on the fat burner reset call.
So we're heading over, for those of you in the fat burner reset, we'll be getting on that call, Zoom call here in a moment. The rest of you, please watch the video tomorrow. I want everybody who comes to my channel to be well informed. I do not want you to fall prey to these headlines. And like I said, they are going to keep coming. So don't get stuck in sensational news around fasting or the ketogenic diet. And if your friends start telling you fasting or the keto diet is not healthy, that's why I'm arming you with science. If your doctor, oh my God, we heard some horrible stories this week about doctors telling whose patients are getting off medications because they're doing so well with fasting, and the doctor said that's horrible, you need to stop fasting. Ugh, drives me crazy. Send them here to this page. And to this channel. I'm putting the science so that you can have the collaborative conversations with your doctor. So, as always, you're a miracle. Your body is so intelligent, and there is nothing like fasting to show you that. So don't give up on yourself.